Welcome all, Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, looking at the DXY on the daily time frame. Nothing's changed. We can still get more downside here, down to this 100 fib, or maybe even lower. Looking at a flat on the lower time frame, we got the 5 down. We got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm looking for 3 or 5 up in here. So really, I'll be looking for a buy once this is finished in here. I'd be looking for a buy. At this stage, there really isn't a buy on it. Even if we go down to the lower time frames, this is more like a flat in here. A, B, C in here, and we get more downside. So ideally we get more downside, then a nice impulse up, correction, and then we can look for a buy. I dare say once we get a lower low here, we'll get a lot of bullish divergence. So ideally, I'm pretty much waiting for this, for a buy. I'm not looking for a sell down in here. And it really is only, it's only for a scalp up in here. I'm still expecting more downside, but I'm looking to buy this C up in here. And then if we get that and a sell setup, well, then we can look for more downside for like 5, 3, 5. AU, nothing's changed on the daily time frame. Looking for more upside up to this 100 fib. Got a couple of arrows on there. But yeah, nothing's changed on the H4. Looking for that a B, and we get a C up in here, possibly up to this 100 fib, like I just mentioned. Pretty much looking for I was looking for a correction in there during the week, for a buy in there. Well, that's gone already. But so now I'd be waiting for a larger correction. Well, we got a nice impulse up, so I'm looking for a correction and then look for a buy for at least a C up. More than likely it'll turn motive, but looking for at least a C up. So just waiting in here next week and then looking for a buy setup to buy. They're all very similar. All the majors are very similar. GU, looking for more upside up to that 100 fib, like I've mentioned many times. This one didn't really give us a nice flat in here, unfortunately. We had 5 up in here. I was looking at an A, a B, and I was looking for a C down in here. We never really got a nice C down. So I'm still looking at all this as a B wave, and I'm still waiting for a nice C down to give me an entry. I wouldn't really be looking for buys up here. We're getting bearish divergence on the H4. It's really just scalping if you're looking for a buy. You could go down onto the lower time frames, look for a correction in here, and it's really just scalping, going with the trend. Just scalping the buys. I prefer to get this one down in here. There is no sell set up on it though. And then look for a buy down in here after we get that C down, ideally, because this will give me the risk reward. Buying up here, it's just scalping and just to go and break the top basically, because you'd be getting bearish divergence on the lower time frames. M15, we've already got that bearish divergence, so but this still does look rather bullish. So there's real no sell set up on it for that C down at this stage. EU was pretty much the same as GU. It didn't give us a nice correction in here, but I've been looking for that 100 fib. Like I just mentioned, it didn't give us a nice C down like GU. didn't give us a nice C down in here. So again, I'm really just looking at this as a flat still, and I'm waiting for a nice C down, and then I can look for a buy setup. So I'm not going to go into this. It's virtually the same as GU. So, looking for a C down and then more upside till I get this C down and a nice bullish setup. I'm pretty much leaving it alone. It's like GU. There's no sell setup on the lower time frames, and we're getting the bearish divergence on the H1. So I'm not really interested in the buy until I get that H4C down. NU on the daily, looking for this C up. This one did give us a nice, like AU, it gave us a nice flat in here. So we got a nice impulse from a low. We're looking at that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and a nice impulse down, finishing off this flat or complex correction as I look at it. But it doesn't really matter which way you look at it, correction. So looking for at least a C up. Really looking for a buy setup. Excuse me. Want a nice correction in here on the H1, and then look for a buy. This may turn motive and give you 5 up. It sort of just give us 1 up here over this side in this wave A. It was just pretty much 1 wave up, and did end up giving us bearish divergence in between the 2 tops. But I'm expecting a similar similar thing over here. Nice impulse up, but if we get a correction in here, you could definitely look for a buy. GY, nothing's changed on the daily. Looking for that 100 fib like I've been mentioning before we get this C down. We've sort of got this running flat in here. Again, you could look for buys, scalping. The further up this goes, with the bearish divergence, the more risky it becomes. I'd be sort of waiting for, if we get a flat in there and we get like 1, 2, 3 up, and then I'll be looking for an A, B, C. If I got that C down and then a bullish setup, well, this would be my preferred setup to buy. If I got some sort of a nice flat in here and then a bullish setup, well, then I could look for a better buy setup, and yeah, I'd be targeting that 100 fib. UY, on the daily, I've been mentioning this for quite some time. This low here hadn't been broken, so I'm pretty much staying out of this. On the lower time frames, it's just pretty much scalping before we get more downside. You can see the flat that I'm looking at here. It's pretty much, it hasn't changed for a very long time since we got these 3 up in here. I'm looking at that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 or 5 up in here before we get more downside. Just waiting for this like A, B, C in here. So you could look for buys for this. It is quite risky, and it's very choppy down here, so you really have to be careful. I was actually looking for 5 up in here. There was a possible 5 up in here, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one didn't go up and break the top of that 5th wave. Instead, it come down and took out the possible bull hidden that was there. But that's fine because we still got this here. So we've got this A, all this is a B, and we've got this C down before we get this A, B, C. The problem I see with this is it's very choppy down the bottom here. It's not really bullish at all. It's very difficult to get in when it's like this because it looks so bearish. This is more bearish, for another one down. So yeah, ideally it gives us another one down in here, gives us even more bullish divergence, and a nice buy setup on the lower times to give us a nice entry to buy. To buy into this is quite risky, and it's quite difficult to get a nice entry. USD CAD, been saying for a long time on the daily, I'm pretty much waiting for this time factor here. This wave 4 has gone into the territory of this wave 2, so it still may be an ending diagonal, but yeah, at this stage it's we sort of already had this ABC up in here. There's a C up there. Didn't really get up to that 100 fib like I was looking for, but this may be a correction as well, like a 333 or 335 complex correction before we get more downside in this wave C. We sort of have like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so we can get 1, 2, 3, or 5 up in here before we get more downside. Pretty much looking at it, because we got 3 and a 3, pretty much looking at it as a complex correction before we get more downside. So, it's really just scalping, but you definitely could look to buy this, if you got an opportunity. You're looking for, like on the M15, you're really looking for a bull hidden in here. Like we sort of got like 1, 2, 3, get a bull hidden in here, and then you'd be looking for a wave 5 up. It's really just scalping. And you really got to get in on the lower time frame because you're on the M15. So you got to wait for this bull hidden on the M15, and then see if it gets confirmed on the lower time frames, and then you could look for a buy. Look for a buy setup on the lower time frames, and the invalidation point is here, or actually here. So yeah, for that bull hidden, the invalidation point is like here for the 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 and a wave 5 up. If this comes down, breaks this low here, and then gives you a sell setup, well, then you could look for a sell. Yeah. The Swissy, looking for more downside down to this 100 fib. I am looking for a flat on this as well, on the lower time frame. And pretty much, how I've been looking at it, it hasn't gone yet, but the structure that I'm looking for still hasn't changed. I'm looking for that complex correction, like I've gone over 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then looking for 3 or 5 up in here before we get more downside, possibly down to that 100 fib I showed. On the daily, that 100 fib there. But really, I'm not looking for buy. I'm not looking for sells down in here. I'm looking for a buy for this here. For this C up, or 3 or 5 up in here for a 333 or 335 complex correction. So I'm really only looking for buys. Unfortunately, there is no buy setups. On the H1, we're looking for more downside. I was looking for a little bit larger correction here, and so still am looking for a possible wave 4 here. Just have to adjust this because it hasn't given us this yet. So on the H1, there's still possible more downside. We got 1, 2, 3, get a wave 4 here and a wave 5. If we got a bear hidden in here, you could scalp a wave 5 down. And then I'd be looking for a buy setup. I'm more interested in the buy setup, but at this stage, like I've mentioned, there is no buy setup on it. And we may get a 5th wave down here on the H1. EG on the daily, looking for a fifth wave up in here, like I've gone over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do have a ball hidden in there. So I am looking for upside. We did get a correction in here. So this is, not too bad. If I go down to the lower time frame, excuse me, got a dry throat. Get 1, 2, 3 in here. So I'm looking for an A, B, C, or turn motive actually for 5 up to break that top with that ball hidden. We're getting a nice opportunity here. I'll take this off because we sort of did get 5 up in here. Like 1, 2, 3. Well, you could look at this as a wave 4 and a wave 5 up too, but it is a little bit larger correction, this one here, than it is here. But the thing is, we got a nice impulse up from a low. If we go, if we get a correction in here, I'll have to go down to the lower time frames to show it a little bit better. But any buy setup you get, I'd be looking for a buy. We got a nice impulse up from a low. So, if we get a nice correction in here and then you get a buy set up, you could look for a buy to go and break that top for the wave 5. WTI, looking for this A, B, and a C up in here, but and it did start to go, and now it's come straight back down. It's still possible more upside. Looking at here, looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4 possible wave 5 up for an extended wave 3. So then we get the 1, 2 extended wave 3, get a wave 4, and then a wave 5 up. Here's no buy setup. That's the problem. We do have a possible ball hidden here, but there's no buy setup to buy it. Unfortunately, even on the lower time frames, there's no buy setup. This is looking more bearish still. So ideally, we get some sort of an A, B, C here, A, B, C, some sort of a flat, and then you get another one down, giving us a bullish divergence, and then a nice impulse up, buy setup, and then we can look to buy. If it doesn't give you the buy setup, and this just falls over, well, yeah. If it goes down and breaks his ending point at this wave 2, well, it's more of a sell, isn't it? But at this stage, I'm still looking for a possible wave 5 up in that extended wave. Gold, pretty much not looking for buys up the top here. Like I've been going on for a long time, I'm looking for this time factor here. I'm looking at that 1, 2, 3. I need a nice wave 4, and then I can trade a wave 5 up. Really need a nice, excuse me, nice correction in here before I look for a buy. Nothing's changed for a very long time on this. I've been going over this week after week for months now. I'm looking at the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 5 down in here for that complex correction, filling into that wave 4 on the daily, and then I can look for a buy. So I'm looking for 3 or 5 down in here, like I've been going on for quite some time now. Yeah. So there's really not much you can do now. We've already sort of, starting to get bullish divergence here already on the daily, on the H1. Sort of got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here, getting bullish divergence. So we may get a larger correction in here, and then we get another 5, like 3, 5. Sorry, like 5, 3, 5. It may be just 3 down, like I mentioned, or it may be 5 down on the H4 for that complex correction. I mean, if you got a nice correction in here, you could look for more downside, but I dare say, even on the lower time frames, there's no buy setup. This is more you know, even if we're looking at the M15, like we had a nice correction there, you could have sold. But now we've got like 1, 2, 3. You get a wave 4 in here with a bear hidden, and then it comes down and breaks the low. So there's still, it's risky to buy at this stage until this top here gets broken. Yeah, but ideally we get 5 down in here, and then a nice bullish setup, and then you could look to buy into that correction that I was looking at in this B wave, and then you'd be looking for a sell. Well, I'd be looking for a sell after if that played out. Silver, we got the 5 up. We got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and a complex correction in here, and it's already gone up and broken the top. So we got 5 up, larger correction, and it's gone up and broken the top. So this is pretty much played out how I was looking at it. We're waiting for a wave 4 in here on the H4. So, really waiting for a time factor here. Get a nice correction in here, and then you could look to trade a wave 5 up. I'd be waiting for this time factor and then looking to trade that wave 5 up, because we're right at the top of the market on this, so I really need that time factor to make sure that this doesn't just fall over on me. If you get in too early, say you get a bullish setup in here, well, it may just come up here and then come back down, and you take a loss or get a break even trade. So I need that time factor, because it may just come up here and then really fall over on you. So yeah, I'm really waiting for that time factor. We're right up the top of the market, and then if I can see a complete correction, well, then I can look for a buy setup. I mean, you can see here on the H1, we got a nice impulse up from a low, and it's come straight back down. It's very deep to this move here, so maybe just a C up in here, and you get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you get 5 or 3 down in here for a complex correction before it goes. So yeah. Bitcoin is pretty much played out how I was looking at it too. We got the 5 up, larger correction, and it's gone up and broken the top. We're getting a flat in here on the lower time frames like we were looking at. Actually, that's on the lower time frames. I'll remove that. But I'm looking for this down in here. We do have a bear hidden here. This is looking rather bullish on the lower time frames, but don't be fooled. It may just come up, just break that top without breaking this here, this top there, and give you a C down for that A, B, C. Ideally, it gives us this C down, and then we can load up on the buys again. If you're buying up the top here, you're just scalping, and it does look very bullish. I was looking for a flat here, some sort of an A, B, C flat, and then a buy setup for like 1, 2, 3, or more to the point, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this kept on going here on the lower time frames. I was looking for that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That count that I just took off during the week, but that was during the week. But this is still looking rather bullish. But again, you can buy it and see how far it goes, but just get it to break even as soon as you can. We got a nice impulse up. This is looking very corrective, so you can buy it, but I'd be mindful of this possible flat on the H4. That this may be a flat here, and we get another one down. S&P 500, nothing to see here really. It's played out. It's gone up and broken the top like we're looking at, and for this flat here, we got the 5 up, larger correction, and it's gone up and broken the top. there was a flat in here on the H4, or more to the point of wave 5. You're sort of looking at that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. We're getting all this bearish divergence here now on the H4. So yeah, H1 you still could look for, you'd want a nice correction. I'd be looking for a nice correction before I considered buying. Yeah, it's more of a buy, but on the lower time frames there may even be a sell set up here. There would have been a sell set up, but it didn't play. It didn't get a correction. Like, we had a nice impulse down, but it's gone straight back up. So there is no sell set up. If we got a nice impulse down, if this had have given us a correction in here, well, we could have looked for a sell, but it's gone straight back up. So it didn't give us this, so we can't look for a sell. And there really isn't a buy set up on it either. AU200 really waiting, excuse me, really waiting for this correction. Like I've mentioned, we got a nice impulse up, really need a nice correction before I'd consider buying. Yep, it's really not much there. Yep, I'd be waiting for a nice correction on the higher time frames. At least on the H4, get a nice correction. I mean, we had a correction in here, which was looking very bullish, but it sort of only gave us 3 up. But this in here gave a nice impulse up, buy setup, but it only gave you 3 up. Now it's more of a sell setup, So yeah, you see here we got like 3 up, bearish divergence. Then we got a nice impulse down. So if you got a correction in here, it's more bearish. But you need a nice correction in here first and a sell setup on the lower time frames to get in. The FTSE has just about gone up and broken the top as well. Again, really need a nice correction in here before I'd consider buying, Yeah. I mean, yeah, you are getting. You've got to be very careful with this too, You're right at the top of the market. This can be some sort of a flat here, and like complex correction, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you get more downside, but it's, yeah, you got to be careful of this flat in here on the lower time frames. That's what and this is why. H1, we've got a possible bear hidden here. So yeah, this can be a running flat, and we get more downside. I'd be more interested in a sell, but again, even on the lower time frames, there is no sell set up on it at this stage. As you can see on the M15, there's a bull hidden here. So this one can go up and break the top still. Lastly, the DAX. This one played out. We were looking at that bull hidden here, so we were looking for this to go up and break that top. Unlike the other indices, this one was more of the buy because we had that bull hidden there, and it's already played out. There's possibly more upside in it, but for me, I'd really want a nice correction, something to give me a better entry. Pretty much like I've been looking for. I mean, yeah, it's sort of a flat here, like a 3 up, expanding flat here. Then you get 1, 2, 3. So if you got a nice correction in here on the lower time frames, you could look for a buy. Just to go and break the top, I dare say once that top's broken, you're going to get a lot of bearish divergence. But yeah, get it to break even and yeah, see how far it goes. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook and got something out of this. If you did, please hit the like button, share and subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.